Hey guys, this is your friend neighborhood TFG, also known as the Transform Gundam, and I'm super excited because today I'll be finally looking at my most anticipated figure of 2020, and that is Voyager class Earthrise Starscream. So as I've said in many of my videos, Starscream is my favorite Transformer, and ever since they announced Earthrise Starscream, I knew that I wanted to get him, and finally, I have him in hand. So taking a quick look here at the packaging, it's just a typical Earthrise packaging. Of course it says Earthrise War for Cybertron Trilogy. You got a nice Decepticon logo there, Starscream, there's the Transformers logo by Hasbro, 8+, Generations, of course by Takara Tomy and Hasbro. On the side here, we got a very nice artwork of Starscream. And of course, this is Voyager class down there. On the back, there's some shots of the actual figure in its robot mode, its jet mode. It says it transforms in 30 steps. It's showing off one of the new Battle Masters. It has a little more information down there. Nothing to go into that. Here's the top. Here's the bottom. And yeah, enough talking about the packaging. I am super excited, so let's get this guy opened up. So full disclosure, I've actually had this figure for about 2 months now, so this isn't really much of a first impression anymore, as I've had time to deal with this figure and really get transformation down and all that. But I meant to film this a lot earlier, but I just got super busy with my online class. But I finally finished, so now I can finally take the time to sit down and review this figure. And since I already have them in the jet mode, I figured I'd start off with that. So here is the beautiful looking jet mode. I absolutely love this figure in the jet mode. And honestly, maybe my favorite mode out of the two. Not saying that the robot mode is bad at all, but they just absolutely nailed the look of this jet mode. It really does remind me of the masterpiece Starscream. At least the 1.5 mode, I think it is, or the newer updated mode. But yeah, it just looks really good from the top here. As you can see, you got some nice red stripes going down the wings, of course. The paint is actually pretty solid. There actually is some pretty major paint flaws, which I'll get into more so in the robot mode. But as you can see, even just like getting really in closer with the red, it isn't perfect. As you can see, it's like a little rough around the edges there. You can kind of see the red going through into the white a little bit, but it's not bad. Got some nice clean Decepticon logos here. Let's see, how does it look on the tail fins here? As you can see, again, it's not perfect. You can see a little bit of white missing there, just a little like speck of white there. But for what it is, it's still fairly good. Taking a look at the other side. This side actually looks pretty clean to me. Not really too many flaws that I see. And actually, the red isn't really bleeding over into the white on this side, so that's nice. Again, the Decepticon logos look really nice. I don't really see any errors with that. Here's the other tail fin there. A nice clear orange cockpit. Right here looks fairly nice, and yeah, from while the top looks really nice, but you take a look at the bottom, and yeah, it's not as nice. You can see the arms are just kind of folded up there. It has this nice sized gap here, which I can stick my whole finger there and still have the room. But besides that, really you're gonna be looking at the top view. Top view, it looks really good. From the side profile, not bad. It's a little, I guess, thick. I'm sure like an actual jet would be like a lot slimmer looking side profile, but it's not bad. Of course, it comes with the null race, which you just plug into the hole there. Get that back in focus, but there's also a hole there. You can plug it in at basically any of these ports. You can plug in there if you want it, there, even right here if you want. just a lot of options, but I mean, of course, oh, and you can also plug it on the top if you wanted, but of course, traditionally it is just plugged into this port. So let me just get this back in. And I mean, yeah, that's basically it for the jet mode. It doesn't come with like any landing gear or anything like that. It does have a little bit of articulation. These wings can kind of move up and down a little. As you can see, I don't think there's anything else. The cockpit, I don't think it opens. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it doesn't open. I'll try to mess with it off camera, and maybe it does. I just forgot, but I don't think it does open. And yeah, I mean, a really solid jet mode. The top part looks really good. The bottom part looks kind of like a mess, but you know, I don't really think any Starscream figure really nailed, I guess, the bottom part of it. But again, this is the important part, and from this view, it looks really, really good. Really accurate to how it looked in the G1 cartoon. So now let's get it into the robot mode. We'll take a closer look at that, and then we'll get into the transformation. And one more thing I almost forgot to do is a quick size comparison. So here is the Voyager class Starscream with the Deluxe class. Here he is with the Earthrise Deluxe class Wheeljack, and I don't know how accurate the scaling is, but I mean, of course, the jet's going to be a lot bigger than the car, so it seems to be, I guess, fairly accurate. I think the jet might be a little bit bigger, but there's just a quick little comparison there. So yeah, let's get to the robot mode. So here's a closer look at the robot mode, and this is basically, from what I gather, is kind of an updated version of the original classic Starscream. That's kind of what everyone's kind of been saying about this figure. So the look and styling is very similar to that figure, just a lot more modernized. And there's definitely like some new features to this figure that, of course, you know, make it better overall in quality to that original classics, but it is very similar in look and style to that figure, which, you know, people say it's a good thing, but some people really do dislike the fact that this is basically just a bigger version of that original classics figure with a few more things to kind of make it better. But personally, you know, I always wanted to get that classic figure, but I never actually did. So I guess this is my classics Starscream, if you want to call it that. But overall, I mean, that figure looked great, and this figure also looks really good. Some people do have a problem with the proportions, like the chest area is a little bit too boxy, which I can see that, but I mean, it is based off the original G1 Starscream, and the G1 artwork wasn't always the most consistent when it comes to like body proportions. So I think it looks fine. I really do love the colors. It's really nice. It's like a very vibrant blue. It might show up a little darker on camera, but it's a very nice blue. I really do like this blue, and it has some really nice detail. Like, just zooming in here on the arm, you can really see like a bunch of panel lines that you can, like, if you have a panel line marker, you can go in and just really make all those details pop. Taking a closer look at the head sculpt, I think it is a really good Starscream head sculpt. I wish it had like the classic smirk, but it just kind of has a more neutral Starscream face. But still, it has a nice shiny black for the helmet parts, some nice silver for the actual face, and some yellow for the eyes, but the camera's not really picking that out. It's because the eyes are kind of sunken in. You can kind of see it. It actually looks a little more red on camera, but looking at it, oh, no, I'm actually wrong. They're not yellow. They're a really dark red, which the camera is kind of picking out. Yeah, you can see it there. But some really nice details in the chest, of course. Some nice, like, I don't know what you call those, like turbines or something. Of course, the same details from the jet mode also carried over to the robot mode, and of course, always a common problem with Starscream's figures is the Decepticon logos turn upside down in the robot mode, just because you basically are flipping the wings. So while they look right in the jet mode and the robot mode, sadly they always are just going to be upside down, which I mean, I'm fine with that. The legs look very good as well. Again, very nice details going throughout. There's a side view of that. And this is where we get into one of the problems I have, is there's this really huge gap in between here, which I'm sure some third-party company's going to make a upgrade kit which can fill that gap, which I don't know if that already exists. It might, but it's kind of noticeable. But I mean, from this view, you're not going to notice it, but if you turn it to the side just slightly, yeah, you can see it there. Taking a look at the back, you kind of just have this part of the cockpit just kind of hanging off the side. That was also a thing with the original classics. I don't really know how they could have better hit that, because I'm pretty sure the Masterpiece also had that problem with trying to hide this nose cone piece, but this works, I guess. The back of the wings is kind of hollow, as you can see, and none of the red and white stripes carry through on the back side, which, yeah, this back side's kind of ugly, but you're mostly going to be staring at it from the front anyways, so I guess that gets a pass from me. As for the paint, though, I do have some problems. It's like in some areas, the paint has just really started to kind of chip. I'll try to see, especially a lot of people already mentioned about this part of the transformation being very annoying and very prone to paint chip, just because you're supposed to get this part to clip into there, and it kind of forces these parts to rub against each other, which causes the paint to chip. You can kind of already see it there. Yeah, you can kind of see, yeah, right there. Paint's already starting to chip. This side, yeah, you can kind of see it there as well. And on one of the arms, you can't really see it, but yeah, you can kind of see here, like this blue isn't really the best. You can kind of see it's like, especially like in the gap areas, because this area opens up. You can kind of see where the blue has already started to fade. Oh yeah, okay, right here you can really see it. There's this like, it's like the plastic honestly kind of started chipping off, and you get this really ugly gap there. Or not really a gap, it's like a bump in the plastic. It almost looks like it's a mistake, but that's pretty ugly. But luckily the null rays kind of cover that up. And with this arm, this one's honestly not as bad. You can kind of see like the little, almost looks like a nub mark or something like that. They cut the plastic, but never fully cleaned it, I guess. But yeah, it's not as bad as this arm, but it definitely is bad on this arm. Like, you can see that right there. It's pretty bad. But besides that, everything else is nice. The paint, again, not perfect, but for what it is, it's very nice, very vibrant colors, and yeah, a very nice robot mode. So let's get into the articulation very quickly, and then we'll get into the transformation. One quick thing I forgot to do again is a quick size comparison. So here is the Earthrise Starscream with the Siege Shockwave, and this is a leader class. This is a Voyager class, but keeping it the scale, they do scale really well, which I mean, well, yeah, and this is a leader class, it should be a lot bigger, right? But I mean, of course, this one comes with more accessories, which make it worth the leader class price, which I kind of question. But I mean, this is still a really good figure. This is also a really good figure, but they had to keep it in scale, and these two do scale extremely well together. So yeah, let's get into the articulation. So getting very quickly into the articulation, the head is just on a simple ball joint, so it can rotate a full 360, go up and down, side to side, do everything that a ball joint can do. The arms are also on a simple ball joint, might have to move the wings out of the way slightly to get them to go, well, to go all the way around. They can go in and out. There is a elbow bend of about 90 degrees. It's on a single joint. There is a swivel at the bicep. The hands cannot rotate, sadly, just because due to the articulation, but they're on a hinge, so they can kind of hinge up and down, which that's mostly due to the articulation. Getting into very quickly into these wings, you can see they are on a double hinge, so they can kind of shift down, but that's more just due to the transformation. So then there's also a hinge here, which allows them to move up and down, and then this is also on a hinge, which allows it to kind of move like that, as you can see. Just due to the design of this figure, there is no waist articulation at all. The legs can move this far, and if you actually move this front skirt piece, you can get it all the way out to about here, so a decent kick. Go back, not really, just because of this little plate that doesn't move out of the way, and you can go out about that far, so a decent, I guess, split. There is rotation here at the thigh. For the leg bend, it's on this nice kind of clickety joint. You get about 90 degrees, so that's pretty decent. And one problem I have is that for the transformation, this part opens up and kind of collapses in, but the actual joint part itself kind of attaches there, and occasionally that part will kind of come loose, which causes this actual joint to be loose. So you just have to attach that back there. But when it is attached, it is a very tight joint, and that's one thing I will say about this figure that I really do like, is that like the plastic and like the joints itself, it just feels like a really high quality. Like this is a really nice thick plastic, and the joints are nice and tight. Like it does feel like not cheaply made at all, which is nice. But getting to the feet, the little toe part can go up and down, and this part's on a little ball joint, so you get a little bit of ankle pivot, so that's nice. And these thin parts can move up and down, and this part can also rotate, but that's more for the transformation. And this part, back foot, can move up and down, but I would kind of suppose a part of the transformation there, because it has an auto morph feature, which I'll get into. But yeah, that's basically it for the articulation. So it's, not the best, especially compared to this figure. This figure is great. I really do love this figure. It has nice ratchety joints, and overall just like really nice when it comes to articulation. This figure is decent. It's about on par with the deluxe class Wheeljack here, but I mean, this is a Voyager class, so I guess you can argue that, oh, this should have more articulation. And I know the Siege Starscream definitely has a lot more articulation, so that was one complaint I've seen with this figure, especially compared to the Siege counterpart. But for me, I do love the classic Earth Jet, so this had to be the Starscream that I got for my collection. So that's enough talk. Let's get into the transformations. Alright, so let's get into the transformation. We'll just be going robot mode into jet mode, and just because I don't want to make the video too long, I won't be transforming it from jet to robot mode, but you can just kind of, I guess, follow these steps in reverse if you want to turn jet mode into robot mode. So let's get started here by taking off these null rays, and we're going to start with the arms. So we'll just kind of bring these up here. And what you're gonna want to, oh gosh, my dogs are barking, so let me just wait for them to quiet down a little bit and we'll get back into this. Sorry guys. So as I was saying, you're gonna bring these arms up, and what you're gonna want to do is open this part up. It's on a hinge, so this is going to hinge up, and this is where it gets kind of confusing because you can see there is a double hinge here, so this part's going to move here and it kind of exposes the arm joint here. So you can see this part kind of moves separately from everything else. And when you're going from robot mode to, from jet mode to robot mode, you can see this little tab is going to line up with this hole in here, and that kind of forms the arm joint, as you can see. But for the robot mode, for the jet mode, what you're going to want to do is hinge this part in, and that's going to collapse this whole arm in, and you're going to want to line that tab I mentioned earlier with instead this hole up here. So you're going to want to bring this part down and bring this part in so it collapses the arm, and you're going to bring, as I said, the tab into that hole, and it should click into place like so, and bring this arm or hand up so you can kind of see the arm is now collapsed. Here is the uncollapsed arm, here's the collapsed arm. So you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So just come here, take this hinge, open this up, take this, hinge this in, take this top part, kind of collapse it down, and make sure it goes into the hole up there, and it should click into place. Bring the arm up, and there we go. Now we have the arms transformed. Now we're gonna get into the most scary part of this whole transformation, which I might have to do off camera, but I'll try to do on camera, and that is untabbing this part from the chest to open up the chest. And there's no really easy way to do it. What I like to do is kind of get my fingers into this little groove in here, and that kind of helps separate it. You can kind of probably not see, but see, you can get one side untabbed, but then it's kind of hard to get the other side untabbed. You just have to be very careful. And okay, I actually was able to do it on camera, so that's cool. So this part, whole part, hinges down like that. You can kind of see how it hinges. You can also see how the actual cockpit plugs into the chest. There's this part sticking out, and there is a hole right there. So when you're transforming it to robot mode, you just kind of hinge this part, and then that gap's going to plug into the hole in there. But to transform it into the jet mode, you're going to want to bring this out, and might as well cover the head, this top part of the cockpit. So this is on a double hinge, so this is going to hinge out, and this is going to close in, and this little tab's going to plug into the hole in there to cover up the face, and it should click into place like that. And then this is also on a double hinge, so this is going to hinge up and out, and there is also a little joint in there that allows it to rotate. I don't really know how well you can see this, but this whole part's going to rotate. Right here you can see that part rotates, so you're going to rotate it back like this. So before it was facing this way, you're going to rotate it this way, and this is going to come up, and this part I was sticking out earlier is going to fit perfectly in this little area here, so you can just click it into place like that, and that fills that area up nicely. And now next, what we're going to want to do with the arms is bring this part in, kind of similar to the Masterpiece version, honestly, with how the arms collapse, and they're going to go like that. And once you do that, you can close this part back up, and oh my god, my dog's barking again, but let's keep going. And this is also a hard part, is to get the chest to get back to how it was. And there we go. So after we do that, we can start with the legs. So first what I like to do is just take this crouch piece, move it up, and next we are going to actually tab these together. As you can see here, there's a hole, there's a tab. On the other side, there is a tab, there is a hole. And then basically you're gonna line these up. The tabs are basically gonna line up with those two holes, and you're just going to push them together like so. Might as well do this part. This is kind of a cool step. Is basically you're going to take these wing parts, rotate them, and as you're rotating them, as you can see, or actually here, I'm going to do it on this side, but as you rotate the wings, the foot also kind of moves with it. So that's a cool little auto morph transformation, although it does occasionally get caught here. Okay, there we go. So as you move this part, that foot moves, you can kind of see it again there. Just be careful of it getting caught here, because that will happen. And basically you can probably see there's a little tab there, and it's going to line up with this little hole right there. So basically it's going to get that and plug that in like so, and then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. So just take this, move this up, and tap that into there like that. Might as well just take these, put them out. And next what we're going to want to do is collapse the legs. So we're going to open these two panels here. Oh, sorry, no, they're on the other side, my bad. So these are open like so, and this was what I was talking about earlier with the joints. But you're gonna take this whole area is gonna collapse, so you can kind of see here. Collapse that whole area in, and when you're doing that, you're gonna want to line up these two little holes with those two grooves on the inside. Here you can see those there, and they're going to line up with those there. So just collapse these in and make sure those line up on top. There we go. Push that in, and then once we do that, we can just kind of close these back up like so, and then take this part, put it back down, and we're almost done. The last step is just getting these wings. And what I kind of like to do is kind of just rotate these, and as you can see, as you kind of rotate these, this part's going to want to collapse down, and you're going to have to, this is kind of the tricky part, because you're going to have to make sure everything kind of clears the side area. So there's like all these little tabs. There's a tab there, and there is a little tiny tab there, and there's a hole on the bottom side of the wing that was going to fit into that little tab that you probably can't see, and then there's a tab there that's going to line up right there. So we're going to make sure there's clearance room so we can kind of line up, and there we go. Once you do that, you just push it in to place. And there we go, we got one of the wings done. So now quickly doing the other, just kind of rotate everything, and it should just kind of line up itself and push everything together, and just like that. Oh, sorry, one last step is actually just moving these feet up like that. And now we are back into the jet mode. So did this figure live up to the hype? Well, yes and no. I'm glad to finally have a classic Starscream in my collection, but it did have some quality control issues, at least with my copy. There wasn't anything bad, at least compared to my copy of Wheeljack, which I've got to say, after handling this guy for a lot longer, the transformation has gotten easier. But that being said, again, really excellent figure. The plastic quality seems to be great, except for the small little areas I was talking about, like with the arms, and that the arms seem to be made of a thinner plastic just because they has to like hinge out and collapse in, so they couldn't make the plastic too thick. So it kind of makes sense why the plastic kind of started chipping. Just got to be very careful handling this figure, especially also with the little tabs in the chest. You got to be very careful when you go to untap those to open up the chest, or else the paint will chip there. But besides that, the transformation is nice and easy. Again, it's basically based off the original Classics figure, so it's not too complicated. It's easy to do. It's not the most fun, but you know, it gets the job done. The colors are great. I really do love the red and blue. It's a very nice, vibrant color. I love the just the small little details going all throughout, what you can pick out with a panel line marker, and it'll look just amazing. And yeah, I'm really happy to have this in my collection, and this is definitely going to be my definitive Starscream in my collection. Oh, fuck. Starscream, where is the cube? The humans have taken it. You failed me yet again, Starscream. Wait a second, isn't this the wrong movie? Oh god, my Starscream voice is so bad, I apologize. Coordination, Starscream, this is bad comedy. Megatron, is that you? No, you idiot, I'm Shockwave. Everyone, I'm Shockwave and I sound like an old man for some reason. God help me.